Do you like your iWatch?
I do.
I'd like to talk to you about that after.
Hey there, this is Mobile Agent TV, helping agents stay on the cutting edge from coast to coast.
Welcome to Mobile Agent TV. I am Michael Thorne of REMAX Little Oak Realty in Langley, BC, and my co-host, as always, is not here, Dave Falkware. There was a family event that happened this morning. I'm not really particular about the details. Thoughts go out to Dave and his family, but I got on Facebook Messenger right away, and I reached out to the person I have to legally obligated to reach out to first is Valerie Garcia. Valerie Garcia has to go out first. She is moving into a new home, so Val is not on the show. And then the phone rings, or I send something out to Jesse Peters. Jesse says, "Yeah, absolutely, I'll come on the show." So Jesse and I spent the last week or so together down in Denver. We get to hang out a little bit more today, so that is awesome. Thank you, Jesse, for jumping in here and being my co-host. Jesse is a REMAX agent with REMAX Executive Realty in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and will be our co-host for the day. During the show, you can interact with us live on Twitter using the hashtag MATVLive, as well as you can get us right there on the blog. The Q&A feature is enabled, so you guys can ask us questions, vote them up, vote them down, and we'll get them asked of today's guest. I think we have a fairly interesting topic. We usually try to get on the show about 10 minutes before and just sort of chat back and forth with guests. And based on what we've chatted about for the last 10 minutes, Jesse, could be a pretty interesting show.
Oh, without a doubt. And first of all, Dave, I hope everything works out with your family this afternoon. Michael, thanks for flashing the bat signal out here to the prairies, and really looking forward. Well, we spent the week together. I was going through a little like absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, hey, we're back. But yeah, you know what? Just in some prelim conversations here with Chad, and super excited about smart homes, smart technology, and a word that was becoming. It's not necessarily smart, like the thoughtful technology now.
Yeah, that's how Nest is phrasing it. More of a thoughtful home.
Yeah, love it. Can't wait.
Yeah, and by the way, we were doing Mobile Agent TV with Adam Contos last week down in Denver, which was a great show. But then afterwards, Jesse, you and I got to go down to the basement at REMAX headquarters and shoot, I think, 5 or 6 quick hits about video.
Yeah.
And, you and I are pretty good on video, pretty comfortable. That was a unique experience when you've got like a producer and a cameraman, and they're giving you instant feedback, and it's
totally
humbling. It was humbling.
Very humbling. And what was interesting, right? Like you and I, we shoot our own shows, right? And we kind of, we're our own directors, we're our own producers, and then also you and I working together. We do a whole bunch live, but then, how are we going to sync together? And I thought we did a really good job, but obviously it was a Friday. We've been together for 5 days already, and I may have pushed a few buttons for you, but...
No, we also had a hard out. We also had planes to catch, and I guess we went in there a little cocky, Jesse. We thought we'd blow out 12 videos in about an hour and a half. We got 6 done in 3.5 hours.
I know, right?
That's the way.
Such a learning experience, and really kind of getting away from kind of the live stream, the live shows that we do, and kind of, okay, guys, thinking on a broader scale, when we're going to be talking to 110,000 REMAX agents, we got to get the points across, and it was really interesting to see how that behind the scenes works. And World Headquarters, amazing. If you ever have an opportunity to get down there, you know what, Tom Maynard, give a big shout out to him, and he could take you down there to that real amazing world down there where they used to do live broadcastings, right? Like, insane the power that's there with REMAX LLC.
All right, on to today's show with our guest, Chad Curry. Now, we traditionally read out the 160 Twitter bio. You can get Chad on Twitter at Chad Curry, which is CHAD CURRY. But I don't think his personal 160 Twitter bio is as applicable for today's show as perhaps one of his Twitter accounts that he uses for the lab. So you can get sort of the Center for Realtor Technology at CRTweet, and the 160 Twitter bio reads: NAR Center for Realtor Technology is a multidisciplinary tech research group focused on where technology is going and what it means for real estate. And really, when it comes down to that, Jesse, not only where it's going, but how does it impact our buyers and our sellers and us as agents too as well, is really what we're going to talk about. So, Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, the first question we usually ask, and we always get interesting answers. Last week we were talking to a SWAT officer, commander, who's now COO of REMAX. But how do you end up, Chad, what is your history in real estate that you end up working as the director for the Center of Realtor Technology there at NAR?
Yeah, well, I started actually in web development is how I got into this. I started with NAR about 10 years ago on the grassroots side and helped them with their calls to action. And then I worked for the RPAC for a while doing some web presence stuff for them. But then I moved all the way up into the Center for Realtor Technology and became the managing director about 5 years ago. We revamped NAR's web properties. And about 4 years ago when the Nest thermostat came out, I started keeping an eye on the pulse of smart home technologies because I felt like those things were going to be very impactful for our business and for our membership. And about 1.5 years ago, I worked with Mark Leswing, our CTO, to revamp our budget. And Finance Committee approved last year in 2015 to set direction to investigate smart home technologies, renewables, and see where those are going for our membership. So we set up a lab last year, and here we are today.
So clearly, you know, this is something that's very new in the industry for agents that have only been in the business for 4 years, Jesse, like yourself, or 23 years, like myself. You know, Chad, does this arm of NAR, it doesn't exist 4 years ago. There isn't anything to really be investigating, and yet now that we're in this, we're gonna talk about multiple technologies, multiple companies, multiple SKUs that have all come along in a very short period of time and that are having sort of an instant impact on the way real estate, you know, transacts.
Well, to frame it for you, there's a couple of factors that influence this, right? Currently, we have about 4 billion smartphones connected to the web. By the year 2020, there's going to be between 26 billion and 250 billion Internet of Things devices connected to the web. So it's going to make an impact in our lives very quickly here in the next 4 years. So we need to get into that. We're going to look at things like security, privacy. We have to look at standardization of these devices so they're easier to use. And we have to educate membership on those things. And that's a lot, right? So it's actually a good time for us to jump into this. And we're already hearing stories about members seeing these in the wild, of course. You know, Nest thermostats being the most prevalent, Ring doorbells as well. And you know, one of the questions I'll ask people who've sold a home with a Nest in it is, did you reset the Nest to factory settings? And oftentimes the members are like, well, how do I do that, right? Because if you don't, the previous occupant still has access to that device. So you know, we'll talk them through it, and then they'll talk with their the home buyer and help them get it ready to go, so it's set for them. So
yeah, and this is like a whole new world, like you just mentioned, for us, Chad, for agents. I mean, it's one thing to go get the key, you know, the locks rekeyed, or to do these sort of traditional behaviors that are in our industry. And now, not only, you know, and here's one of the issues we have as an industry is, if the populace moves further ahead faster than we do as an industry, then our value starts to be questioned or has those opportunities to sort of fall behind. And thankfully, there's people like you that are going to push us as an industry, you know, at pace or ahead, so that we are still adding value at every turn.
Well, thanks, Michael. Yeah, I would say too that, you know, as we look at this, one of the big things we think our membership adds, having 1.2 million members all over the country and the world, both in Canada, could also be Realtor affiliate members here, and having that many people at our disposal, it really excites vendors because they have a way now to understand how consumers can interact with their products. So we're doing things like field labs, having our members test product in the wild. But the value proposition for membership, there's a couple. The first one I would say is when you close on a home, a great closing gift could be any one of these devices we'll talk about today. Also, in the future, what we see, the thing that we're interested in is our inventory is the home. So, Michael, do you have a Fitbit?
No, my wife's addicted to Fitbit, but I don't have one.
Well, okay, so 10,000.
You should get one, Michael. You should get one.
Yeah.
What kind of comment is that?
Well, I seen you, and I just spent a week with you. You should get.
This might be Jesse's last stint as guest. But the Fitbit itself, the metric they came up with was 10,000 steps to have a healthy, active lifestyle.
Yeah.
We think environmental quality sensors, which are on the market today, are going to be like the Fitbit for the home. So imagine if you can help a consumer think about carbon dioxide, which will indicate airflow in the home, humidity, which could be mold and bacteria growth, and also VOCs. So like we had lumber liquidators here in the States, they had formaldehyde that was off-gassing from their boards. These types of sensors can detect stuff like that and help improve quality of life for the homeowner. In particulate matter, for respiratory issues, that's really important as well. So as a closing gift, we envision an object like a hub. And by the way, we've also built stuff here, and I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. But a product like a hub and some environmental quality sensors, and then you as a real estate agent could have an interaction with that person beyond the transaction. And you start talking to them about how they're living in that home and the changes they can make to energy usage, their HVAC system, their CO2, the airflow, right? And we talked a little bit about, Michael, you'd said that you have a watering system that looks at the weather, right? And then will only water when the weather is clear, not when it's raining, right? And that's where this is going, where our homes become like living organisms.
Yeah.
The term that Chris Cote is our lead lab engineer, he came up, he suggested this term, and he's absolutely right on, homeostasis, which is where an organism has feedback and reacts to that feedback and keeps regulating itself. And that's what we think these devices will do. So for instance, right now, Dave, who's one of our engineers, if the carbon dioxide level gets above 1,000 parts per million in his home, his Nest thermostat will turn on the fans and clear the air. Or after you take a shower, your humidity level in your bathroom's up to 75%, the shower fan will automatically kick on and then turn off when it's down to 40%. That's all possible today. But these homes are going to become more and more reactive and proactive in the way they interact with us.
Okay, so let's go 30,000 foot view, and then we'll get down to specific things. What does it mean in general? Because we talked about before we got on the show, the term's batted around a little, maybe too freely. The term smart home. What in the big picture? If someone's just jumping in and goes, I've heard about it. I don't really know what we're talking about. The big picture definition of what is a smart home.
So a smart home is a home that you can control from anywhere virtually through an app on your phone, but also gather data about your usage with that home. Know what your temperature is, what it was last week, what it was in comparison to the temperature outside, what the humidity levels are, so you can regulate your air, and also smart locks and cameras. So it's really a home that allows you to access it even when you're not there, right? And to be able to regulate it from wherever.
And so the big pluses I see in people wanting to adapt smart technologies. Number one, I think overall cost, long-term, benefit of cost. It's the reason why we have a smart thermostat. It saves us the money in the long run, pays for itself. Number two, I think time and convenience. I mean, that's an ongoing theme that we have on the show, Jesse, over and over again. Is time seems to be more precious now than ever before, and people are willing to pay some money to know that they don't have to drive back to make sure that the front door was locked, or drive back to make sure the stove was off, or all these things that are going to take place. This convenience of time is something that we all value more now than ever before in our extremely busy lives.
Absolutely, and also there's issues around safety and security as well. Like so, for instance, one of the cheapest devices we have is a $35 9-volt battery that's Wi-Fi enabled, and that goes into a smoke detector. If there's any power draw on that battery, it'll send an alert to my phone. So if I'm here in the office, I can see if the smoke detector in my living room is going off or the dining room, and I'll be able to take appropriate action from just that $35 device.
Because it has a signal built into it.
Exactly right. Yep. And it'll also, it lasts for 5 years. That's a company called Roost, R-O-S-T. And they also now are making a carbon monoxide and smoke detector that goes for about $80. But you could give 3 or 4 of those batteries as a closing gift. You could give an Amazon Echo, which is the darling of the industry right now, and the Google Home when it comes on market. But and we have a couple of Echoes in the lab and some other devices that are voice enabled. But really, it's really about that convenience. I mean, and that's what the voice enablement's about, right? Really, we can actually, we can change the thermostat temperature with our voice, turn the lights off with our voice. And just do web queries. And I think that's, honestly, the term we use a lot is zero UI, where you don't have to have an app to work with a thing. You can use your voice or gesture. I have a gesture device here I'll show in a little bit. or you could use fabric as another material that's being Project Card by Google is another project where they're using fabric. So your couch could become a control for your smartphone.
Crazy.
Sure, beats delivering.
So we're talking about smart homes or smart technology entering the market now with every home that's already built, and new homes being built. So generally, we're seeing this as a retrofit type product versus the fiber optic wire that's been putting in homes for the last 10 years. And then will that be the main place that we see the big innovation, Chad, is in retrofit, or will we see homes from the ground up be built differently than we do today?
Well, what's interesting about building the homes, I mean, we've had home automation systems that were built into homes and then go from like $25,000 up to $100,000 for that, right? But then as technology progresses and these technologies become less and less prevalent, it becomes outdated. And that thing that could have sold the home, that was installed 8 years ago, it becomes now an issue for that new homeowner, right? So I think the retrofit is definitely where we're going to see this go, and it's what we're seeing. But we also are seeing some innovations in the new home build space. There's a company in the Pacific Northwest that's doing a light switch that's hot swappable. So imagine, if you will, the electrician installs a box that they're going to open. So GE could build for this box, or Lutron, or whomever. They could build for this box. Whenever the technology in that light switch is updated, I could just plug a new one in without even having to call the electrician. So it becomes upgradable and modular in a way that doesn't require to have to rewire the entire home. And
I think that's a big concern too as well. I mean, it's like the moment you buy the new iPad, it's outdated because the next one's on its way. I mean, I think that's one of the people that's going to hinder it to bear. I mean, when I was a kid, I was in a 1970s home and we had a intercom system. That I don't know why we had it in the house in the 1970s. 2 years later, it was just an eyesore on the wall. And I really think that that's one of the concerns. And so if it is retrofit, the ability to swap things out becomes a whole lot more appealing because the technology is going to get better very quickly.
Well, so
I think people are willing to pay extra for that. Right, for the convenience of being able to swap in and out. I just built a new home. I would hate to be able to say, sorry, you missed out on that. But to hear that the retrofits plug in, plug out, tapping to something that's already existing, and getting the iOS upgrade each time, or every 5 times you're swapping in and out, I'll pay the extra money for that convenience rather than having to think that, I'm back in the 1970s and I got to rewire the entire house.
Right. Yeah, and what I would say about the let's use thermostats as an example because they're a good one. There has been independent research done to see how much energy they actually save, and it ranges from 10 to 15%, right? So those devices will pay for themselves in about 2 years' time. And the typical life, we someone I don't remember who has it now, but they have a Nest thermostat from 2012, which is 4 years ago, and it still works. They're up to version 3 now. So I mean. It's still working. It's been paid for 2 years ago, and it's still doing exactly. And the firmware updates are still coming through. Now, conversely to that, though, speaking of Nest, there was that hub called Revolve that you might have heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody said, it looks like a tub of hummus. But it was one of the ones I was pretty excited about when it first came on the market. But then Nest purchased it, and Google purchased Nest, and it disappeared. It came off market. Now, I'm starting to wonder now if they put some of that technology into Home, the Google Home, which I don't know if you saw the Google Home on Tuesday or Wednesday.
No.
Google I/O, they have an Amazon Echo competitor called the Google Home. And it's going to be able to do things like, so if you have Chromecast on your TV, I could say to Google Home, Chromecast the mobile agent TV, and it would Chromecast it up on the screen, the latest episode, right? So it's pretty interesting what they're doing. And that won't come on market until fall. We're going to try to get one early so we can do some development for it. But the thing about this, is that I think there is a cost-benefit analysis you need to do. Really think about what you want to do, and will this take care of my needs? Right. That's the big thing.
Okay, so then you have that cost-benefit analysis for the particular homeowner. The other side of this equation is the real estate angle of it. How do we as agents, how do we learn to articulate the value of having smart technology so that we can market it appropriately for our sellers, and then educate our buyers? The reason why you're paying $1,500 more for this home than the home next door is because of this. I mean, we're going to be a lot of the people that are able to articulate and the long-term value to have this sort of stuff put into your home. If it's not sort of chattel versus fixture, I mean, a lot of the stuff you can take with you, but how important is it that agents understand its market value?
Oh, it's pretty important. And in the Office of Shameless Self-Promotion, here I go. We have a blog at crtlabs.org. On that site, we have a glossary. It's a smart home glossary, so agents can learn the terms that are associated with that. So if you go to crtlabs.org, here, actually, I'm going to turn my camera so you can see this. Right, I wrote it on the board today. Can you see that? Let's see if you can see that.
Yeah.
So we actually made a glossary so they can learn the smart home terms, and we also have a frequently asked questions section, so they can start learning what the Internet of Things is and what it's and what it means to their business. But I would tell you that understanding these devices is really important because each one will offer you different benefits, and that's some of the work that we're doing, is getting that out there. The best thing to do is if you can't happen to get to our website for whatever reason, go to Best Buy and other places and educate yourself on what's on market. But also, we're talking now to brokerages and associations about building little demo kits that can be in sales offices or at local associations. What to include, the things that consumers are interested in, and what sort of things are coming down the pike. So we're thinking, to start off with a thermostat, a smart camera, a smart lock, a light, so you can show what you can do with these smart lights, and maybe a plug. Right now, here's another thing you can do that immediately adds value to what you do. A lot of utilities and a lot of insurance companies are starting to offer subsidies on these devices for installing them in your home. So for instance, here in Chicago, the ecobee thermostat or the Nest thermostat I can install in my home, and ComEd will give me a $100 rebate on that, right? Liberty Mutual is giving away a Nest Protect, which is their CO and smoke detector, and it's a $100 device. They're giving it away, and up to 5% off premiums on those devices. So I guess what I'm saying is go to these practitioners' websites and look for any rebates or discounts they're offering or other companies are offering in your area, because they're actually geolocated. So the best thing you can do is educate yourself. That's the simplest thing, and really think about what the benefits are of the specific devices.
And what I found very interesting, Chad, before we sort of got on the show is, new technology comes along and the costs are so high. You sort of gave me a bit of a spectrum between sort of basic costs for at the low end, and the high end didn't seem as high as I thought it should be or would be. I mean, you're saying something between $30 to $250 is sort of the range of a lot of this technology, which seems very achievable for it to be adopted at a very quick pace.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's kind of, I just want to say, by the way, I talk about Nest a lot, but they're just an example. They're the first one on the market. They're kind of the grandfather of all this. But $250 is what that thermostat costs. And 4 years ago, when I would go out and speak on the road, and I would say, here's a $250 thermostat that'll save you energy, and the realtors would be like, why, this is way too expensive. Yeah. But now when I talk about this device, they're like, oh yeah, it saves all this energy, and they get really excited about that price point, which was a bit shocking to me last year when I started seeing that. And that seems to be about this. And if you think about it, that's what you pay for your iPhone, or you pay for an iPod, or whatever else, right? So it makes sense. Something that's going to be practical and useful in your home. That's not a bad cost point for something like that.
Especially on the overall cost of the home too, Chad. I mean, we're talking about $500,000 for a build out, depending on your marketplace or wherever it is, to add $3,000, $4,000 to the cost of a new construction or into a retrofit. I mean, in the big purchase of things, it's not that expensive. Right. Versus, I mean, especially when a lot of this stuff is going to save you time and money.
Right. So I'm sorry to jump off screen. I was actually looking for something, and Joe just got it for me. This is a $5 computer, the Raspberry Pi Zero, and this is a case we 3D printed. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is because when we talk about cost, the fact that I have a $5 computer in my hand right now, we are running some home automation software off of this in the labs to test it out. And that's the thing, is these products are going to become cheaper and cheaper and even more powerful. So just thinking about the components that are in them, right? So the return, the amount of money that they're making on these devices, I'm very curious to find out, because we know now that $5 computer, we have a $9 computer over there. We've got sensors that go for $10, $15. It's pretty amazing. So.
It is incredible. Well, you know what? You were kind enough to offer us, Chad. You're going to take us around on a bit of a tour, show us the product that you're doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's start to nerd out on some of the cool stuff you guys are looking at.
So what I'm going to do is, so now one of the things we get actually a lot are devices given to us. And I'm moving the camera down, so there's a picture of the bicycle here, so you can see this. This is actually a company called Fabaro. This is not on market yet. It will be in a few weeks. This is called the Swipe. Now, when we talk about that Zero UI, we talk about gesture, we talk about voice. This is a programmable device that looks like a picture frame. You can also put it in your wall. You can also put it under a countertop up to an inch thick of granite. And what's cool about this is I can put 16 different gestures in this. So I'm going to bed at night, and I want to make sure everything's off. I could swipe down like this, and you'll see my lights turn off over here, and this door lock. So I can make sure everything is in its place. Or if I'm coming in to show a home, and I want the lights to come on, I can just do that, and all the lights would come on. Right?
Oh, that saves so much time. You know how often we're running around houses. Where's that light switch? Where's that light switch? Oh, that goes up. Oh, that goes down. Just for realtors.
So now Fabaro, yeah, absolutely. Fabaro is a very interesting company. I need to find a glass of water, actually. Hold on 1 second. This is where I freak my staff out. 1 second.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it, Michael? Like he was talking about 4 years ago. We were boffing at $250 for a Nest, and now the mindset has now shifted to the exciting and seeing the possibilities of these thoughtful smart homes are a reality now, right? Like,
and even more than that, Jesse, I think the point is people aren't sensitive of price when there's a value exchange for it, and I think finally as a society we're starting to see the value that $250 for a thermostat gets you.
Yeah.
And that's okay with us. We're okay exchanging value. I just think it was so early on that a lot of us, only the early adopters saw the value, and now we're getting more mainstream.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, so this is another, I'll just show you this quickly from Fabaro. The reason that we like this product, this is actually a flood sensor. And it's shaped like a UFO, but it has these little leads on it. They're gold-plated so they don't corrode. They're also spring-loaded for uneven surfaces. And if this is sitting under my sink and I hit it with my garbage can when I'm putting my garbage can underneath it, it'll make a little beep so I know that there's an issue. This goes for, and you heard that, did you hear that, that chime? That means it's setting itself. So I'm going to set it on the table. Bear with me for a second. I'm actually going to pour some water and show it working.
Oh, dude, you got to put that in your crawl space.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
All right, so here,
crawl space.
So give it a second here. We'll see a light turn on, maybe. Live demos are awesome, aren't they? There we go. So you see that little light flashing there?
Yeah.
Yep. And then it's making an audible sound. I don't know if you can hear that or not.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the great thing about that is also hitting an app and letting me know that there's a leak.
Exactly.
It also float, right? And it stopped beeping already. This goes for about $50.
See, I have this thing, and I don't know what it is about me. I live in a sort of a middle-aged home, 35-year-old home, and I always had this thing that, we got all of my old stuff down in the crawl space, and I always go, eventually the drain tile is going to fail on me, or eventually something's going to happen. There's going to be water in the crawl space. You just put one of those down there, and you never have to worry about it. It's going to give you a text alert when there's water in the crawl space.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It'll work with the app and let you know. Okay, so this is the Amazon Echo. Here's what I'm going to do. Let me see. You'll see some pink lights over here, and I'm going to use my voice. We're going to see if this works because we've had some Wi-Fi issues. So if it doesn't work, it's our Wi-Fi. It's not the device itself. Full disclaimer. Alexa, turn lights off.
Awesome.
Just a little excited.
All right, so then we go. Alexa, turn lights on. So that's the Philips Hue bulb over there, the pink one, and we have a number of colored ones around here. but you know, being able to have voice. Now, this is really important for people with accessibility issues, right? It's also really important. It gives your kids a sense of control too, which is kind of fun. My daughter loves to ask Alexa what pi plus pi is. That's because of her brother. She's 5. She thinks she can stump Alexa, and I'm like, no, you really can't. But you know, oh, this is the one that realtors love. Hey, Alexa, how many square feet in an acre?
1 acre equals 43,560 square feet.
So you can do queries on the web. Alexa, do I need a jacket today?
Currently, in Chicago, it's 65 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. Today, you can expect intermittent clouds with a high of 66 degrees and a low of 52 degrees.
So let me just, I mean, that's crazy. Let me tell you a little quick story about how quickly life has changed. About 4 years ago, I'm sitting at the dining room table with my son, and we're having dinner as a family, and he says to me, Dad, where do humpback whales live? And I go, they live in the ocean. Like, silly question. He goes, I know that, but where in the ocean do they live?
Yeah.
And I went, you know, I don't know exactly where. I mean, we saw one in Hawaii once, and he goes, well, Google it. Like the ability now to have these like his mindset was like, why would I have to wait for this answer? Let's just give it. Have that at the countertop to be having a conversation. I'm not necessarily, family time's important without tech. I get it, but to ask a question about the score of the hockey game, or just to, you know, you don't have to look for your device anymore. It's just there. It's
no
very,
more
very
devices in a little can. No more more having the device right there. It almost becomes, you know, if that's the way you want to go, the
integrated into your home.
Yeah.
So the one, you know, Alexa, how many teaspoons in a tablespoon?
1 tablespoon equals 3 teaspoons.
So I mean, cooking, right? That's another thing you could do.
That's
So
like the Jetsons.
yeah, exactly. But here's the thing too is Amazon now has their Alexa Services Partnership program, and there's one company so far that's actually taken advantage of it, and they make this. You know what, Michael? I'm going to share my screen. I'm actually going to pull up a picture of the device because I don't have it in the labs today, but I do use it at home, and I'll talk to you about it. It's called the Tribby. So give me a second here as I do a screen share. We're going to have a repeater here in 1 second. So bear with me for a second till I get this. Okay, can you see the...
Yeah.
Okay, so that device right there is pretty cool. Here, let me tell you a couple things about it. It's actually a Bluetooth speaker. It can work with Spotify Connect. It has Alexa built into it. And the reason it's sticking to that metal rod is because it has 2 magnets in the back. On the left, you see like a phone, a 1 and 2, and on the right, you see a 1 and 2. The 1 and 2 on the right are radios. The 1 and 2 on the left are actually through the app. My kids can call me through that app. So, so when I was in for our mid-year legislative meetings, my daughter could hit the 1, and it would call me through the app, my phone. She's 5 years old. She could talk to me whenever she wanted to through this app. This becomes like a family communication hub. Now, this device, like I said, you can control your lights through the Alexa services. That little circle in the top left corner of that screen, that's actually indicating Alexa is active. Those words, just ask with the smiley face, that would be like a text message I would send to that screen, and the little yellow flag on the left means they've received a new text message. Now this, to me, you have a family of 4 moving in, this would be a great closing gift for small kids because it allows them to listen to music, allows them to be a little bit autonomous with this technology, and it allows them to interact with you and have that connection, you know. I love that.
And once again, I mean, the price point doesn't shock me at $200. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not, it's crazy to have that sort of technology around. And perhaps used properly, this technology will create more connection with people. Hopefully, that's the whole point of devices like that.
I love it because I can actually communicate with them, and I can send her little emojis to tell her what I'm up to. She can't read yet, so she can see the emojis and know what I'm doing. I send her a briefcase. She knows I'm in a meeting, right, or I'm busy at that moment. I can send her a little smiley face, you know, just to tell her hello. I can put a little picture that looks like her up there. I can draw something on the screen. It's pretty great. It's a little e-ink screen. Now, the thing is, too, that speaker on this device is actually not that bad. It's a good quality speaker. My kids at night will put this up on their bunk bed. They have a metal bunk bed, and they put it up on the bunk bed, and they'll ask for the local radio station and have it play while they go to sleep. It's pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Michael, while I'm on this mode, what I'm going to do is show you something we built as a proof of concept for the future. And remember I mentioned that hub and those environmental sensors?
Yeah.
So we have listings here, right? And these listings have property details about the property. But what if we could actually show homeowners what their CO2 levels are and their temperature and humidity and all of that in a little interface within the listing itself? This is actual data from Chris's house about his power usage and indoor and outdoor temperature. And what you'll see here, this light blue line is actually the outdoor temperature. Look as it goes up, what happens to the energy usage? Right? It goes down.
Goes down, yeah.
You could start talking to the homeowner about the health of their HVAC system, but also about their power usage in general. And then also we have indoor and outdoor temperature and humidity here, so we can show that. And this is all live data coming from Chris's house. And I have my house up here. We have 5 properties listed because that's all 5 of our homes. But I want to walk you through kind of how this works. You should be seeing a really crazy looking diagram right now that's jumping all over the place. All right, yellow is energy, green is environmental data. So this is our system. So on the left side with all the addresses, those are our homes, not our addresses, but those are our homes. Green are the devices we're using. I'm sorry, the second row, the devices we're using. And then the third row column, I should say, are the fields that are being pulled in at that time. The fourth row are the different interfaces that they hit. So for instance, we have one for everything. We have one for just the environmental quality and one for energy. So if you have a device that is resource constrained, meaning a smaller device that doesn't have all the processing power of a powerful computer, you could hit any one of those cues to get the data you want, right? And then it's going out into our system. So now, to bring it full circle, what I want to do, give me a second here, I'm going to stop sharing. Let me stop.
Jesse, it's double Jesse.
Sorry about that, Jesse.
Hey,
so now we have the Amazon Echo again. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask about our environmental quality in our home. We built a skill in here so we could actually ask the Echo questions about our home. Alexa, start Rosetta Home.
Rosetta Home. What day would you like environmental data for?
Today.
For May 20th. Carbon dioxide is at 519 parts per million. Temperature is at 60 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity is at 65%. Everything looks good.
What's a safe range for CO2?
For May 20th. Carbon
was,
dioxide is at 519 parts per million.
Alexa?
Temperature is at 60 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity is at 65%. Everything looks good.
Tell me about CO2.
A safe range for carbon dioxide is anything under 1,000 parts per million. Anything higher than that may lead to headaches, sleepiness, and stuffy air.
What's the number for DigSafe?
The number for DigSafe is 811 and it is recommended you dial DigSafe at least a few days before you start any digging project.
How often should I change my air filters?
Depending on the number of occupants, household pets, and allergies, air filters should be replaced every 3 to 6 months.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So we built that skill. Now, what we're thinking about is, wouldn't it be cool if, as a closing gift, you could give this device and have the app, that Rosetta Home app, and you could put your identification in there in some interface. We're thinking about what that might look like. So it could say what your number is and where your office location is if they wanted to get a hold of you, but also any referrals you have for plumbing, for yard care, they could all be listed in that app as well.
And it's that sort of stuff is incredible to have that there, to have, you know, to have someone else looking out for your home all the time. I think that's very, very interesting because, you know, we do a house inspection, Jesse, when we go and buy a house. And then we live there for 15 years and we don't do another one. I mean, really, we should be doing a house inspection on an ongoing basis. And little things like this, make sure that your whole house is all connected. I mean, you could put a sensor in your attic, you know, a humidity sensor up there versus in the main, you know, all that stuff could all be then figured out by the technology to determine if there's any action you need to take place to maintain the value of your property. It's incredible.
Yeah. Really quickly, I'll show you something we're working on. This is actually a prototype. This device right here is called a particle photon. It goes for $19. I'm just talking about this piece. This is what they call a breadboard, which is something you connect devices to do create prototypes.
Yep.
This small device right here is $19. It's by a company called Particle. It's called the Photon. We have it connected to a carbon dioxide sensor, a temperature and humidity sensor, volatile organic compounds. We also have light and particulate matter. And so in this lab, we know at any time what the CO2 levels are, what the temperature and humidity are, what the VOC is like, and also particulate matter. And we've set up those colored lights I showed you. We set one up to we actually set one up so we could have it turn red when the CO2 level got above a certain threshold, just to demonstrate that you could actually have an interaction happen. So like your smart watering system that you have, Michael, you could do the same thing for the home. And I'm going to take you to a couple different things here. Just give me a second. And remember I talked to you about having an association or a brokerage be able to demonstrate these technologies.
Yeah.
We actually built a thermostat box here. We have 4 different thermostats all the way around that you can interact with, and they'll show you, heating, cooling, and airflow. So my Nest here, you can turn it up to that and see the heating. That's as soon as it kicks on in the system. That's actually when it would be operational. Like let's turn off. Now we have iPhones and iPods that we take with us so people can actually use the apps. The idea here is to give our members experience with these devices before they walk into a home.
Yeah.
They'll know that, oh, that's a smart thermostat. I need to know how to like they'll be able to identify these things really quickly, because sometimes they don't know. It's just a beautiful looking piece of hardware, but what does it do? So so the idea is this is a prototype of what we want to do more locally, right? We'll take this to convention this fall too, and we'll have it at a booth, and people can interact with it and find out more about those thermostats.
So where are you finding Chad, the main? I mean, obviously thermostat is a place where you can save money, but what are the main 3 or 4 SKUs where you're seeing the most innovation that you see after your research that are going to have the most immediate impact on homes?
This right here, the Canary security camera, is one of them. It does not look like a camera, right? The quality of video on this is pretty awesome. I'm actually going to pull up a feed, which is this room, so it's going to be a little bit redundant, but it'll give you a chance to get a sense of it.
Hey Jesse, they have a 3D printer right there.
I know. Yeah, I'll talk to you about that in a second. I actually have something to show you. Here, let me brighten the screen a little bit. Stand by for a second here. This is when you do stuff live, right? You gotta.
I love it. I love it.
All right. So here, I'll go back to it. Now, I can watch live the video of this room, and I'll turn it this way so you can see the quality of that video.
Wow.
Right. Now, I can also zoom in and zoom in as I want to, and move around as I need to. What's cool about this app is there's actually a siren, a 90 decibel siren built into it, and an emergency call button. So if somebody is actually breaking into my place and I get video warning of it, I can call 911 wherever I am in the world and get a hold of someone there. And they start up to 5 burglaries a week, this company, Canary. And they showed video. One guy, he had an emergency call, got the authorities on the perimeter, and then hit the siren to send the burglar out into the authorities. So yeah, the smart camera, I think that's evolving a lot because they're looking less and less like cameras.
So the question then, Chad, is will we continue to see single SKU products? Like why the Canary looks a lot like Echo. So are we going to see these things sort of merge together in one product as these things become more adapted? Or are we going to see Echo separate from the camera, separate than the thermostat, separate than move sort of down the pace? I
got what you're saying, yeah. Well, the one thing that I would say about the Canary also is it does temperature, humidity, and air quality sensing.
Okay.
So, yeah, they are merging these things. Like, I expect to see an Amazon Echo with a camera built into it. There's a company coming called Jibo, and they make it was started by a woman who worked for the MIT robotics group, and it's actually like an Echo, but it has a little LCD screen that has a little circle on it, and it's like a robot. It interacts with you, and it can also do a camera, but it's voice controlled. But it also has a camera. It can take pictures. It can query the web and show the results on the screen. So it's more than just a voice-activated device. It's an internet appliance. It really does a lot more. But yeah, I think what consumers don't tend to know is like the Nest thermostat or the Ecobee. They have CO2 detectors built into them already, because they're trying to see if people are in a room.
Yeah.
They also have motion sensors. So those can start to be the beginnings of a security system, but also a self-regulating module. So yeah, you're going to see the products integrate more and more. Like I cringe at like the smart egg. There was that smart egg carton holder. I don't know if you saw that, but it was internet connected. You put 12 eggs into it, and it will let you know when you're running low on eggs, or when they should buy new eggs. You know, that to me doesn't really provide much value. And no offense to them, it's just I'm not a big fan of eggs, honestly.
But on that, I mean, is what's happening in smart home technology, Chad, very much API driven? Can anything get mass adoption to the marketplace if it doesn't connect with other devices, or are we going to see one or two companies sort of try to push them out by saying, you know, Echo won't cooperate with a Philips light bulb, or vice versa?
Well, so what Amazon did, okay, so first of all, yeah, people are jockeying right now. Like Google has the whole Thread movement, Apple has HomeKit, Amazon's got their own thing, Samsung bought SmartThings. So these major players are trying to own that market. But our big push is to educate them on why standardizing and working together is a smarter move. I mean, it has security implications. It has interoperability implications. So if we're going to talk to our members about buying a thermostat, and you know, well, this one works with the Echo. Do they have an Echo? You know, that shouldn't be a question we have. That should just work. And so they're starting to see that. So for instance, the Echo, they just released a smart home API. So anybody can build anything for the Echo. And I can actually say to my Echo now, Alexa, detect devices, and it will find all the smart home devices I have that it works with. And every day it seems like more and more devices are being added to that, also Wink and Nest. So it seems like there's some bleed over. And the ecosystems that are strongest right now, I would say, are Nest, the Amazon Echo, and the SmartThings systems are the strongest three right now.
Interesting. If you were to give someone some advice, a homeowner, and say, look, I've got $1,000 I want to spend for my initial jump into smart home technology, what sort of are those pieces would you say would you could start to put together as a puzzle that would add value to your lives and make your home smarter?
Yeah, so I think some type of security system. I don't want to say just camera, because there are motion sensors you can get as well. People may not want to have a camera in their lives, but I think some type of security system. So, and you can spend probably $300 and have a nice little security system that would be active and be on your phone. You wouldn't need to pay somebody to monitor it. You can monitor it on your phone. I like the voice operability of the Echo, and they have a $90 one called the Dot as well. So that's inexpensive, and a thermostat. Those are the ones I would get started with. But then add things like lights. Now we're actually in 2 weeks' time, a woman named Stephanie Turber is coming over from Germany and Switzerland, and she's going to spend 8 days in the lab with us. She's got a company called Comfy Light, and they're making an energy-efficient light bulb that also does security. So it learns your behavior around the home, and will actually, if you're not home one night, it will actually turn the lights on around the home to make it look like you're moving around the home. So that's the type of security system. So really the three things: security, heating and cooling, because that's over half your energy costs right there.
Yeah.
And lighting are the three things. Now, people have been talking about smart TVs being a part of this. I don't consider those part of the smart home. I mean, you can control your programs and such, but some of them are building in voice control, like Apple TV is right now, but that's just that's a hub. I think the Apple TV is going to become a hub, honestly. But those are the things I would say.
And how about when we come to, you know, they're talking about for forever, you know, the forever for like 2 years, like the smart fridge. You know, it's going to be able to scan that you're down to your last bottle of Coke in your fridge, and it will reorder stuff, and an Amazon drone will drop it in your backyard, and you'll never have to shop again. You know, things like that.
Yeah, I was looking for a device. We have a box for a device in here called the Hiku, Hiku, and this is actually a little device that you can put on your fridge. It has a magnet, but it also has a microphone built into it and a barcode scanner, right? So as a stopgap for $50, you could have this device and do exactly that. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be cameras in almost everything, and I'm not talking about HD cameras. I'm talking about, like, you know, infrared cameras. You know, just low-level cameras that can tell what products are, map those to other products, and more likely than barcodes, will have little chips in the products that could even tell you how much of a product you have left, and then the fridge would automatically order it for you. right? Just that we're not. I mean, that's right now there are smart fridges that there's one in research group right now they're doing that tries to do that. But I think it's a bit off. Maybe 5-10 years before that fridge is in full production mode.
So as we sort of dwindle down our hour, which has blown by real quick, Chad, where do you think the opportunities for agents are in the education process in this? Where do you think sort of maybe some of the stumbling blocks for us as an industry are based on products coming to you doing research, talking to the membership? What do you think the opportunities and roadblocks might be for our industry when it comes to smart home technology?
Yeah, the opportunities are. This is really a differentiator. Being able to talk to homeowners about these devices. So really, part of what we do, what agents do, is the good ones will really work hard to educate themselves and grow and change, right, and adapt to the market. And this is a big adaptation that I think the good agents will do. So sometimes I think in our industry, the acceptance of technology becomes a challenge, right? The fears about the dangers, that are founded or unfounded, sometimes override any sort of opportunities. And I think this is a market that's exactly in that space. So again, some of the things that we're doing, just to quickly show you, we have a smart home checklist right here that we worked on with the Online Trust Alliance. And this checklist is about what to do when you close on a home that has smart technologies in it, right? So, so we want to educate our members on the challenges around these devices. We're also in talks right now with Underwriters Laboratories about testing they want to do on smart devices. You know, the little UL you see on all the batteries and everything? Mm-hmm. That's them, right? So, so yeah, for agents, yeah, I think the best thing you can do is to ask a lot of questions about these devices. Ask about security. Have there been any hacks of this device, right? When you go to a store, go to Best Buy, give us a call. Honestly, I would love to talk to agents about this, but really educate yourself. That's the biggest thing I can say, and I would highly recommend that you spend as much time as you can in a Best Buy or any other box store or Target. Target has a whole array of these devices now too. So any of those stores and educate yourself. But use us as a resource because we are free and we're a member benefit. So
absolutely. Hey, Jesse, that sounds like something we've talked about on the show all the time. Educate yourself. It's moving fast. You got to stay ahead of it, whether that's video, Facebook marketing, or smart home technology. This industry, and thankfully for you, you've been at this for 4 years. It's been fast-paced since the day you got in, but the vast majority of our membership being 57 years old as an average, this is all just happening where for a younger consumer, in their early 30s, this is exciting. This isn't fearful.
Well, that's exactly it. There's there's a lot less roadblocks. There's the understanding of why this is happening, what's going on, because it's so integrated for a lot more of our lives already. Right, yep. And I think for a good majority, the understanding of the concepts and the updates and it's embraced a lot more. So I sit here and I'm like, got some free time. Guess what? I'm excited to go to Best Buy. Yeah. Right, and like we say, we want to continue to add value and content. It's more than just putting up a sign and opening a door. Right, in order to get an edge in this game and show value as a realtor, we have to be able to, bring the latest updates, the latest marketing, the latest advertising to benefit the seller.
Yeah, and so one of the things we're doing too. Sorry to keep talking about us, but
no, it's great.
Putting together sheets like this that have 4 different thermostats, compare them, so you could actually send this PDF to a homeowner. And there are links on here they can click to find out more about compatibility and more information about those devices.
Where's that available, Chad?
crtlabs.org. Okay. And on the right side, we have a quick links section. And the 4 things I mentioned, the glossary, the FAQ, these 2 sheets are all listed there in the quick links section. Yeah. And we're going to have more of those for smart locks, cameras, environmental sensors, plug loads. So that's just the start.
Well, and just thinking about that, Michael, that's one of those things, too. When we have a pre-existing client base, right, we're not just sending emails about, hey, how you doing, Happy Mother's Day, or whatnot. Hey, guess what? You're all homeowners. here's some quick links, here's what's coming, you probably have some questions, a way to add value for us, a way to get some different exposure, and a way to educate. It's just inserting those links. Like, that's, the extra mile there.
Well, that's what our value prop is, isn't it?
All day.
To educate our clients constantly to add that value.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned a 3D printer. I just want to show this to you.
Oh, sweet.
We 3D printed a house. And you can imagine giving this as instead of a listing sheet, putting your card on the bottom of this, and this is about 15 cents of plastic right here. But it gives them a chance to think about how this home might work, right?
Chad, how long? Because that's the thing with 3D printers right now. How long does that take to print out? Is that 4 or 5 hours?
That's about 4 hours. Yeah, good call. We have a printer here that goes for about $3,000, but there are printers on the market from $400 up to about that price point. But this is a quality one. The reason we got this one is we're making some outdoor enclosures for some of the work that we're doing. Something we didn't talk a lot about on the show, but I'm always happy to talk about it, is not only are we working in the home, we're also doing smart sensing in communities as well. There's a project happening in Chicago called the Array of Things that we're working on to put up nodes that have about 60 different sensors so we can get a sense of the health of the city.
Smart city.
Yeah. And so we're actually working on that. And we think we could take that idea and have local associations and brokerages get grants to install these types of devices in their communities. So my hometown of 20,000 could have these sensors, and that's value that our membership are bringing to the community as well.
And I think you'll probably get, you can even get pushback. Whoa, we don't really need that. But how important is that data? Aside from the bells and whistles, it's the data of a home, it's the data of a community, and so you can adjust. That excites me, right? Even when we're doing, Facebook analytics on a house, knowing the data now, knowing the ROI of a community in a neighborhood, that's.
Well, I equate the home to a cell. And now we're putting a nucleus in it, so now it has a way to regulate itself. The neighborhood as tissue, commercial buildings like organs, and the city as a body, right? You have this organism, and now you have insight into how it's functioning all the way throughout.
Yeah, that's exciting. Okay, last question for you, Chad, before we let you go. Bust out your crystal ball, give it a rub, look into it. 15 years down the road, so what can you imagine is coming down, or is it moving so fast that's pretty tough to do?
Well, what's exciting is we've been lucky enough to go to labs at universities. And one of the things we've seen is a Michigan micromote, the M-cubed, which is the size of a grain of sand. And you can put a sensor on these and they network, right? So I imagine drywall that would have sensors in them that do temperature, humidity, air quality, light, and motion, right? So you could know it would be your entire security system in your walls embedded. And you could just put in a listing, you would see a light move across a room through the data. You'd be able to see all that stuff and see how sunny a room is, and the temperature would adjust. Your home, rather than having a thermostat, your walls are adjusting the quality of life in your home for you. You could see a leak immediately behind your wall because of the humidity sensor. You would know exactly where it's at and be able to take action right away. Another thing we're seeing are prefabbed homes that are net zero. That are what's called responsive architecture, meaning I've got this prefab home. This company called Acre Design is doing this right now, and you put this home was built, a new build, and my kids move out in 20 years. I can actually reformat the interior of the home to fit the needs of my partner and I. So it becomes a responsive home. It becomes what you need when you need it, and we're going to see a lot of that. And I think self-driving cars are going to be amenities in neighborhoods that will go and pick your kids up, get them home without you having to worry about that.
Yeah, that's so I look back at history and I go, we could be living in the coolest 50 years ever, because once there's technology all around us, the new technology won't be unbelievable, but we're gonna go from pedaling your bike to school and like indoor plumbing, and it's this next 50 years are pretty sweet, I think, as far as changing the way we live, and I think it's pretty interesting. Yes. Chad, thank you so much. You are the ideal guest to chat about this topic. It's something that perhaps a couple of years, Chad, we might have to have you back on and revisit as things move at what can only be lightning pace. So thank you so much. I think it's really important that we as an industry educate ourselves now so that when it does pick up pace, we've already got our basics down, and it's a little bit easier to learn, because it's always a scary thing when the consumer knows a whole lot more about something than we do. It really puts our value proposition in an odd place. So, Chad, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Jesse, I always ask Dave this question. I'll ask you sort of an aha takeaway. What sort of thing, in the last hour with Chad goes, yeah, that's something we got to focus on.
Well, you know what? Like, just the whole idea of thoughtful, right? And having because every home is different, right? There's no standard levels, or and so to get those devices in, to know, just as we have a home inspection, right? But to stay constantly on it and providing the value and data, it's like, oh yeah, that's going to save my home long term, B, just kind of a peace of mind, right? And see, you know what? I'm loving the Amazon Echo. Like, while you guys are talking, I'm looking online. When's it coming to Canada? And some of these things aren't available yet in Canada, right?
Okay, you know what? You just said this. So I have this little pet. And I'll ask Chad. This is we're going to go over in a second, Chad. But so the main water shutoff for my house is in my crawl space in the far back corner, and every single time we go away, I go, you know what? I'm not going to go down there and turn it off. We're only gone for 3 days. I won't turn it off. And we came back, and we had a massive leak in our wall, like a day after we got home.
Amen.
Will there be a place where I can just have a solenoid turn that on and off from my smartphone, opposed to going down my crawl space, crawling all the way down to this black hole, and just have that installed where I don't have to do that?
Michael, I think there might be a product on market, but let me find out for you.
Wouldn't that be nice? When you go on vacation, press this button, your water's turned off. Come home, press this button, your water's back on. That's like little things like that. Once that's time, I'd pay $500 for that in a heartbeat if I knew that when I went away. And once again, insurance companies, all these people that want to make sure that sort of these things are being taken care of. It's interesting.
Michael, please use the phrase patent pending after all of that right now.
Still annoying. Smartphone, patent pending. I just think little things like that are game changers. You look at all those little things in our homes that we take for granted. The washer and your washer and dryer. The same button turns that water off. You could lock down your own home and pretty quick. It's little things like that. So, Chad, thank you so much. Chad, where can people? You said you're okay with people contacting you. Quickly run down your contact information, or spin the thing back to the board and let people know where they can get hold of you.
I'll talk as I go back to the board. But I have 2 email addresses. This is very fun, by the way.
This is exciting. This is the true mobile agent TV.
I know, right? Yeah, it's totally mobile.
We use it for technology, but it's more like a cart with wheels.
Exactly right. That's exactly what it is. So hopefully you can see my addresses there. Chad@crtlabs.org or ccurry@realtors.org are my addresses.
Awesome.
This is mostly for what we're doing in the labs. This I use for business, for the regular business stuff that we do. But we also have all of these resources here. There's our Twitter handles. There's our Facebook page right there. And crtlabs.org is our main place where you can find information out of us. There's a smart home glossary, and there's the FAQ.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Chad. Awesome episode. Thanks for keeping us up to date as an industry. What you guys are doing are really, really important. Now and in the coming years. Awesome, Jesse. Thanks so much for pinch hitting for Dave. You're a good friend. You're a good friend of the show, and I appreciate it.
No problem.
If you have any referrals heading off to Winnipeg, Manitoba, get a hold of Jesse Peters.
It's here.
He'll take care of you. Actually, anywhere in the prairies, get a hold of Jesse. He'll put you in the hands of the right RE/MAX agent. Any referrals coming out to the west coast of Canada, get a hold of me. I'll put you in the hands of the right RE/MAX agent. And that's Melanie Gallia of RE/MAX Fort McMurray. And please, people across North America watching this show, don't forget about Fort McMurray. The opportunities to donate at Red Cross are still there. I believe the Canadian government's still matching it, and I know that there's some efforts here at RE/MAX Western Canada and RE/MAX all in general, helping out what is only an ongoing disaster in Fort McMurray. We love you, Melanie. As Melanie Gallia wants us to end every show, tell 5 other RE/MAX agents or agents from any brand about the show. It allows us to grow each week, allows us to reach out to people like Chad Curry that will donate an hour of his time. So thank you very much, Chad. Thank you very much, Jesse. We'll talk to you guys all real soon.
Thanks a lot.
Adios.